This be good. Let me double check.
All right, good afternoon, class. How are we all doing today?
That's recording. I just want to make
Today
sure.
we're going to be talking about the New Deal. But before we get into that, let's have a little review from last class. What we were talking about last class was the Great Depression, correct? And which started in 1929. Basically what was happening during that time was prices were declining, business profits were failing, you had unemployment, which was at 9% in 1930, and then rose to 20% for a little bit there, and stayed right around 14% for like the remainder of the Depression. Banks were failing at 25 banks a week were failing. Farming difficulties, you had farmers moving on and basically just leaving their homes and moving out to California and whatnot, things like that. So the whole economy as a whole was just in a ditch, so to speak. So let's take a look at this picture here. See what you guys see. What do you just take a moment and take it all in, and I'll ask you some questions in a second here. So what do we see here? Figures.
You, sir! FDR's rolling up his sleeves, ready to get to work.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam out of the ditch.
Yeah, absolutely. Who's that dude running away?
I was like, Hoover.
Hoover! Why's he running away?
You got voted out of office.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Is he running away from anything?
Depression!
Yes.
The problems that he left the office. Who's this guy in the seat back here?
Uncle Sam.
Uncle Sam.
Yup.
And what's he representing? The U.S. economy, right? And he doesn't look too happy, does he? But anyway, what you see here is basically the U.S. economy right now. And this is FDR. He just got elected. He's rolling up his sleeves. The U.S. economy is a ditch. It's in a ditch, and he's ready to dig them out. And so we're going to move to a video now, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Do I have to do something there? Should I just click on it?
Yeah.
Technology. What a time to do it. Push up on that.
Press pause for a second. So this is just going to describe the New Deal, and yeah, we'll just let it roll now.
Crank it.
You.
You guys ready?
You guys see all right? You gonna turn some lights off?
Well, that might be too loud. I'm gonna go down a little bit.
All right.
On Inauguration Day, the new president offered hope to a desperate people.
First of all, let me assert my firm belief that the only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
He had promised Americans a New Deal. Now he began to construct it.
On his first full day in office, FDR confronted his greatest challenge, the banking crisis that threatened to destroy America's economy. Roosevelt began with a decisive act, declaring a bank holiday. He temporarily closed all the nation's banks. Then, he called Congress into special session to pass emergency banking legislation to protect bank depositors and curb risky banking practices.
Treasury officials feverishly began work on the Emergency Banking Act. Rushed to Congress 4 days later, it was approved within hours. The act gave the government authority to examine bank finances, provide needed capital, and determine which banks were fit to reopen. The healthy banks were authorized to reopen on March 13th, the night before FDR went on nationwide radio to reassure Americans. His appeal worked.
The following morning, when the banks reopened, depositors lined up to return their money. The banking crisis was over.
We have provided the machinery to restore our financial system, and it is up to you to support and make it work. It is your problem, my friend. Your problem no less than it is mine. Together, we cannot fail.
So what we saw there was the basics of the Emergency Act, which was the banking holiday, basically to get all people to get their money back into banks. So that was a huge deal, the bank holiday, and his first first fireside chat was actually basically telling the Americans that their money will be fine if he listens to them. If all the Americans listen to him and have confidence in him and return their money to the banks, it will resolve the banking crisis and it'll all be over. And that's basically what happened. And so that was like his first step into this economic depression that we had going here. And so what role should government take in, or what steps should they take during economic crisis? What do you guys think? That says it right on the board here. So your first one's going to be your immediate action, relief. Anyone tell me what relief would be? He raised his hand.
Bailouts?
Yeah. So something like that, like in the 2008 recession, we saw the bailout. That was the immediate response. That was the relief plan. And like Roosevelt did, he had the bank holiday where he closed the banks for 7 days and then reassured the Americans to put their money back in the banks. So that was his form of relief. And then you want some form of recovery, which is going to be like what's going to grow the economy, get it back up on its feet, and make progress towards increasing it. And so that would be recovery. And then reform is going to ensure that it's not going to happen again. And so that's what Peter over here is going to talk about, Mr. Tyne.
We're going to talk about this with this beautifully crafted PowerPoint that I made. It looks sweet. We're going to talk about the CCC first, the Civilian Conservation Corps. The book didn't talk a lot about this, but I put it in because I thought it was interesting, and you guys have to listen to what I say today, so that's how we're going to do it. So it was basically an environmental program established in 1933. It employed 2.5 million unmarried men nationwide. In Minnesota, it did like 68,000 men. There were some stipulations for it. You had to be between 17 and 23. And you couldn't be a convict, and you had to be unmarried. And it paid about $1 a day, so about $30 a month. And you had to send at least 25 of it home. Does anybody know why they did that? Well, I mean, yeah, that's probably a good reason. They did it though, like, you send it home, and if you send it home, what's going to happen? People are going to spend it, it's going to go back in the economy. And I mean, yeah, it's getting drunk, yeah. They maintained restored parks, beaches, and forests. The CCC did a lot of stuff in Minnesota. They did a lot of roads, bridges. Has anybody been to Fort Ridgely down in southern Minnesota? All right, so there they have this amphitheater that they made. I saw it when I was a kid. It's, I mean, it's not, it's incredible because it's like this stone structure. It's beautifully crafted, it's still there. And I suggest going to see it, probably. This is a cabin they made in Itasca State Park. You can usually tell what the CCC made. It's kind of like the same structure, same style. Rustic, you know, kind of like a villagey type thing. This one was made in 1940. And then this is the Civilian Conservation Corps Company, 2709 in Whitewater State Park in 1934. The picture's a little grainy, but you can tell there's still people. Next, we're going to talk about the Agricultural Adjustment Administration. It was established in 1933 in an effort to raise crop prices and other farm prices. Proceeds from a new tax were used to pay farmers to not raise specific crops or animals. And they thought lower production would increase prices. An example of this would be, I need a pig farmer. Who's a pig farmer? You're my pig farmer. Okay, so say you got a bunch of pigs, and I come to you and I say, buddy, too many pigs, gotta get rid of them. Prices are low, I'm gonna help you out. I'm gonna buy 10 million pigs from you. What would you say? Let's do it. So what am I going to do with all these pigs? All of a sudden I'm flush with pigs, rich with pigs. I'm going to turn them into fertilizer. Who's my fertilizer guy? You. All right. So, what are you going to do with the fertilizer?
Sell it.
Sell it, yeah. Who are you going to sell it to?
Farmers.
And the farmer's going to do what with the fertilizer? Is that what we want them to do? No! So that's primary, secondary effect. Primary, raise the prices on pig meat, which wasn't a good idea because people weren't able to afford it after we did that. And then the secondary effect is that they started growing more crops. I don't know. What do you guys think about that? Was it a good idea? Probably in retrospect now.
What would that be a form of in terms of government policy on an economic crisis? Relief, reform, recovery, relief, immediate action. Yeah, good job.
Yes, great job. So this is a picture. Let's analyze this bad boy. Who's this dude? Here's a hint. FDR. What's that? It's another pretty big hint. It's on the side of the barn. Farm industry. Yes. What's this guy saying right here? It's time for a new coat. He's gonna fix it up because it's run down and it's junky. So low wages, farm poverty, prices. Farms hadn't been doing well after World War I. Does anybody know why? What would the government be doing in wartime?
They'd be sending all your young men and able farmers out to the battlefields, and then you have the Dust Bowl playing into effect too at that time.
That's true. That's true. I was thinking more like during World War I, the government would buy food from them to feed the soldiers, and after the war ended, they'd be like, we don't need this anymore. And the farmers were like, whoa, buddy, we made all this stuff, now we're public. National Industrial Recovery Act, NIRA. All right, so it was established in 1933 to boost falling prices. Where am I on this? And it set a minimum wage, which is really the first time that's ever happened in American history. And initially it worked. It was a good idea. People started having money they were able to spend. But higher wages meant higher prices. Consumers stopped buying because the prices were higher. And then overproduction, underconsumption equals slum. Thank you. So this is the NIRA sign, NRA, National Recovery Act. What it is basically is a collection of producers get together and they form like a cartel. You guys know what a cartel? I'm not talking about, South American cartel. Not quite like that. What they do is they get together to fix the prices, and to do that, they would come up with these standards. Some of the standards would be like 30-hour work week. What am I trying to say? 30-hour work week. Reduced production time.
Yeah.
So as a result,
They would control like what was being, how much was being produced, what they were selling it at, things like that.
So, I mean, honestly, you kind of can think of it as a drug cartel. I mean, when you think of, I know it's not drugs you're selling. I mean, it's food, stuff that you actually need, that's legal. But, it's eliminating the competition and fixing price, and basically trying to fix prices in the manner that you want them to and how high you want them to. So basically, it's just kind of like supply and demand that you're kind of controlling and trying to fix prices so you become richer or somebody else becomes richer.
exactly like Comcast. So, next picture. That's just what they put up. Be like, hey, we're NRA members. Doing our part. So the FDIC, didn't talk a lot about it in the book, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time about it. Basically what it is it was established in 1934. And what it is it's a guarantee when the banks fail, a certain amount of your money is insured by the government. So no matter what happens, that's still there. Do they still have that? Yes. Yeah. Does anybody know how much it is now? 250,000. Yeah. More than I'll ever make, so I'm not too worried about it. Since its inception, no one depositor has lost a single cent of insured funds as a result of bank failure. That's a pretty good success rate. And this is required to be put up in each bank that is federally insured.
What would this be a form of in terms of government policy? Reform. Making sure that it doesn't happen again.
The WPA. The WPA is actually really interesting. It was established in 1935. As you can see, it provided work for 8 million Americans on 1.4 million projects, equaling $11 billion, which is a lot of money then. It was constructed, they constructed, repaired schools, hospitals, airfields. In its 8-year history, the WPA built all of this, a lot of stuff. My grandpa actually worked for the WPA, and he made a bunch of bridges. I asked him about it, he said it was miserable. So, I I don't know how that goes into it. This is a map of the WPA street projects, basically any alley or street that they made during that time. Up until 36 is represented on this map. Did anybody notice anything about this map? Anything interesting? Anything cool? Does anybody notice where like 94 would be on this map? Right there. In case you didn't know. And okay, so what areas are more heavily worked on?
Pennsylvania, New York,
Pennsylvania, New York. Do you have any idea why?
population.
Industrial population, more city. What do you say? Urban? Urban or urban? Yeah, Georgia looks like it got the short end of the stick. Although I hate Georgia. I'll never forget 1998. So this, this WPA made a bunch of murals. They're pretty cool. This one's actually in St. Cloud. I looked it up. I haven't actually seen it in person. The only information I could get is that it's in the post office, but I assume you guys have more than one post office. Is that true? Or is there only one post office in the city?
I think there's only one. It's right downtown by the courthouse.
Another one on the Division somewhere.
All right, well, that's there, so you can go look at it. Does anybody have an idea what these guys are doing? Groundwork. Groundwork. The Social Security Act, not even talked about, but I think it's cool, so I'm going to talk about it. Established in 1935, provided old age pensions for workers, survivor benefits for victims of industrial accidents. Why would that be important?
Because people won't want to work for them if they're going to get hurt.
Yeah, good example of this. In my family, we own a well drilling company, and every time I go to reunions, there's this one guy. I think he's a distant cousin, but he's missing his arm, and I always think about industrial accidents, and I think about him. Unemployment insurance, aid for dependent mothers and children, physically disabled. This did not originally cover farmers or domestic workers. I don't know why. And this is the poster that they put up, more security for the American family. What did they use here? What imagery did they use? A beautiful baby, because babies make you want to do stuff. What's
I was
up?
gonna say, well, there's no man in the picture because he died, but the mom in the shower said that.
That's kind of morbid when you put it that way. And then the last one is the Social Security card. I'm pretty sure all of you have one of these, don't you? Yeah. Who wants to, do you all have one? Who wants to say their Social Security number out loud? I'm a trustworthy guy, don't worry about it. All right, so next we're going to go over to the activity. Am I correct?
Beautiful, Mr.
Beautiful,
Willard here.
beautiful.
All right, so what I want you guys to do is we're going to split you guys off into small groups. And so I'm going to number you guys off into 5 different groups. I'm going to give you guys I know we've seen them before. We've looked at 2 of them already. But I kind of want you guys to kind of do this by yourselves, individually analyze these political cartoons. And on these little, you all get a different cartoon. And in your groups, I want you guys to talk about what you see, why you see what you see, what's going on, and there's some questions here that I want you to fill out as a group and answer them in complete sentences because I will be calling on you guys and we will be talking about them as a whole group when we are done. So I'm going to number you guys off into 5 groups real quick here. So 2, 3, thank you, 4,
5, 6.
Thank you.
1.
Oh shit! Oh shoot! Great, I just failed. 5, 1.
1.
This is high school, right? We're teaching high schoolers.
Does not make a strong case for yourself.
5, 1, 2. Oh, is it 3? No, you said 1. 2, 3. Thank you. 4, 5, 2,
3.
3, 4.
5.
Okay, cool. All right, get your respective groups here. I'll hand out your 1s here, 2s here, 3s in the middle, 4s in the corner, and 5s in the other corner.
That's kind of sounds like good parent teacher.
All right, group 1? Okay. Two.
Just stay away from me. Make sure you know I said that too. We'll keep you out of it.
Did you really? I did this. Oh, did you really? No kidding. Vibes. I know, I was gonna say, I had distal, so I mean, this thing is. Again, really look at it. Think about like what was going on during those times. Why you see what you see. Tell me what your
If you have any questions, feel free to they're all in the same.
What was the
Kind of like road.
Pretty to the point.
Yeah, go ahead. Leave us.
Do you want to work
I gave you the easy one.
Also, yeah, now no longer the
No, they're all different.
Oh, wow. He has to read. He has to read this every day.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell if he's like accepting or.
That's my contribution today, so.
Because I feel like they're
Let's break the stereotype about girls having the best handwriting and let one of you guys be a recorder. It's in that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Even the best ones.
He's trying a bunch of like how much is cleaning up house. Yeah. Can't really read.
So farmers.
Yes, that's a great question. I don't know. Ultimate? Ultimate? What says ultimate? Lobby? Ultimate lobbyist? Ultimate fighter? We'll go with that one, that's fine. But the important ones are, you know, taxpayers, businessman, tested economic laws.
It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter if you can read them all. As long as you got a few main ones, you kind of get the point of the cartoon.
Yeah.
Thank God you hit record. I completely forgot. Oh,
Well, thank
we have to start over.
That's running, right? Okay.
All I heard was like, we gotta start over.
Driver of the steamroller
Yep.
is convicted.
Notice U.S. farmers represent.
So, all I call it, so bring up an inch, short. I know they're really hard to read. So,
Or I think
it took me forever to
like
realize
that
that.
Steve.
Like I realized that today, and I was looking at this thing for like 4 days.
Or you could just put U.S. farmers represent live. That way you don't have to register.
Yeah. It would help if this was clean, because I would have never known that.
Yeah.
You know, the joke.
I wonder why Cooper is good. Like Sam, like why are they together?
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the citizen are just kind of waiting to like. Obviously, leaving out the jokers. He doesn't want it. Because it says legal and just kind of.
It's not analyzed.
Keep analyzing, that's the point.
Here's confusing me.
Well, as deep as you can.
Flattening out.
Well, I support it because they're they're just trying to get food on the table and to make it by the next week.
Oh, you guys got 4 minutes.
Squeezing out resources.
All right, 2 minutes, guys. I know some of you guys are done. There's a couple groups that aren't 100% finished yet, so. Just gives me a cheating from your guys'. This was my idea. We were supposed to do something else. Thanks. I'm gonna be a teacher. We are clever. We're clever full of public. Group 4, you guys almost done? Close? All right. We'll do 1 more minute here, all right?
That's the answer from my third
I can answer all your questions. You know.
Same reason as
You guys are good? All right, guys.
That last one's not really makes sense.
First one out here.
we get graded off that's the goodness.
All right, there you go.
That's what it says in the.
All right, guys, focus up here for me, would you?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I wanted to use a clapping thing, but I thought we were a little old for that. So, all right. So, group 1, you guys had this one. Who's that depicted in this cartoon? What you guys see?
Hoover and Jose in the background.
Yep.
And then obviously Congress here, the room to FDR.
Right. And what is that broom? I mean, I know it's. We can all read. It says Federal Reorganization Broom. But what? I mean, what does that kind of represent? What does that stand for? What's kind of going on right now that he would draw something like this?
Congress is having the job of cleaning up what Hoover had done to like the economy to Roosevelt to clean up the economy like all of America.
Right. Exactly. So Hoover's now gone. Roosevelt is now the president-elect, and I like how. They're kind of sitting here going like, thank God, we're ready for this. We're ready for him to take this broom to sweep up all the, the junk that's going on in our economy and whatnot. And Roosevelt looks like he's ready for it too. And so I know, how is Roosevelt depicted in this picture, guys?
Put him that he looks like he's accepting that responsibility. He's eager to start.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's how he's depicted. It's also, I think the illustrator wants to show that, this guy can be, or at least he looks like he can be kind of trusted, like they're going to be their savior. Like they're handing the reins over to this guy to fix these things, to clean up shop. He's the only one that can do it because that guy in the corner couldn't. And so I mean, what's the overall message that the artist is trying to convey?
We thought that Uncle Sam and Hoover White in the background kind of depicts like them, their unactive role in changing. Like most Americans at the time didn't have much money to their selves, so they couldn't be much invested in the national economy, let alone their own economy.
Right.
And Roosevelt's kind of got a grin on their face, Congress has a grin on their face. They're ready to start seeing stuff happen, and they're eagerly handing the broom to.
Right. It's like they didn't want to take control. They'll let somebody else do it. They'll just say, we'll go along with whatever you want to do. Here it is. Exactly. So is this cartoon optimistic or pessimistic look at the New Deal programs?
That was optimistic.
So it's obviously optimistic. Yep, exactly. All right. And yeah, and obviously this was, I mean, you can kind of tell in the timeline that this was kind of in his turn, this was one of the first cartoons. And you'll see that each one of these is kind of depicted in kind of a chronological order as kind of how, of when they were kind of written. So, next slide, group 2. Yours was titled, What a Man. What a man he was. Who is that guy?
FDR.
And so, who, I mean, I know it's not who, but what else is kind of represented in this cartoon? And what is FDR doing?
Well, it's all the problems that face